Hey, vibrations, sweet babies. Okay, so it was told to me that my audio was not the best in some of my videos, and I can completely understand that. I will sometimes just like open up my phone and start recording when the spirit moves me, honey, and I'm going to try to do better with that, and hopefully how I have this setup works, because then I can just sort of stay in that mode, stay in that flow. How are y'all doing? We had some yield energy, some slow your roll energy. Put the, what was it? Cool your jets. How has that transpired for you? Because, ooh, excuse me. There's something about let's just, for a second, let's just talk, because I had a lot of things coming through that made me, of course, want to, like, sit down and do a reading. And for me, what I was really feeling into was this feeling of let a motherfucking try me. Like, let a motherfucker try me. And it's so funny because, friends, I think you know by now that I'm here to literally do nothing but help give some insights, just some guidance, some perspective shifts, if you will. I don't like to instill fear, but I don't think that my listeners here are ones to necessarily find themselves feeling cowardice. Cowardice is the word that's coming through. There's this energy of like, you're not the type. You're not the type to be fearful. You're not the type to be afraid. You're not the type to back down. You're not the type to have like that sort of energy. So it's like when I talk to you with the respect of knowing who you are and who this collective is that's listening to this reading. It feels like y'all are just, you can take what's given to you. You prefer somebody to be straightforward. I'm just getting a very like firm in who you are. I'm getting the notion that y'all have done the shadow work, honey. Like, y'all are okay with who the fuck you are. And there are things that maybe you've carried internalized shame around. And I'm just feeling like right now that's being lifted. More specifically, being lifted by the divine, by source energy, whatever you want to call it, whatever you subscribe to, insert name here, because I'm really just not into trying to translate it. Like, this is how I am perceiving it, how I feel into it, and hopefully with my diverse audience, you can just pick up what I'm putting down. So what I'm really feeling into is that you might actually be feeling like, because you've learned to just be really rooted and solid in your energy and who you are, to be okay with who you are, you don't have moments where you're kind of like the mask slips off or whatever it is, because it's like there is no mask, like there's no pretending. This, what you see is what you get with you. And that's something that may actually not have come easily. Like, there might have been some people pleaser, mask wearing tendencies where it's like, no, I don't want you to see this part of me. I don't want you to see me messy. I don't want you to see me emoting. I don't want you to see me whatever. But that is no longer the energy that you carry. You're very much just okay with who you are. And what I'm sensing into is that because of this sort of confidence that you carry in that way, and just actually just the vibration of just being, just, you're not really one to feel embarrassed or to feel like self hatred or self-loathing. Like, you're operating in a frequency of, if I make a mistake, I hope it was at least funny, like, I hope it was like at least something I can get a joke out of. But at the very least, like, if I make a mistake, I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to grow from it. I'm only human. And that type of like energy is vibrating at a different frequency than some of the people around you. And I feel as though people around you expect you to operate in their frequency, in a frequency that they reside in, which is more like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. Oh my God, like, I'm so ashamed of myself. Oh my God, I'm so ugly. Like, all those types of things. Like, whether we have had that type of narrative in our brain before or not, we've done the fucking work, friends. Like, that's who I'm speaking to right now, is a collective of people who did the work. Like, we showed the fuck up. We sat with our shadows. We made peace with our shadows. And it's giving like angels protect me, demons respect me type energy. Like, you understand that first and foremost, if I feel like my life is falling apart, if I feel like bad things are happening to me, if I'm attracting the wrong energy, whatever it is, you're the type of person to first look inward and be like, okay, well, because that's all you can control. And you're well aware of this. And what makes you empowered and what makes you confident is knowing that that's the only thing you can control. People lose confidence. People lose practical sense of like feeling grounded in yourself and assured of yourself, is when we start to feel like, oh my God, what are the outcomes going to be? How are these people going to respond? How is this going to play out? Blah, 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 blah. Those are all things that we cannot control. So we are putting ourselves on a path for disappointment. We are putting ourselves in a path where other things, external, outside things are going to be, we're going to be dependent on those things for how we feel. That gives us no power. That gives us no confidence. That gives us no self-assurance. What makes somebody feel confident and grounded and rooted and solid in who you are is by understanding that it's about who you are. It's about how you decide to look at things. It's about how you decide to respond. It's about what things you decide to hold on to let go of. Like, you have been on a journey of understanding all of this within yourself. The word clairvoyance is wanting to come through, clear seeing. So when we hear about the clairvoyance, the clairs, the 5 clairs, right? What it means is heightened sensories. So heightened seeing, a heightened sense of seeing, clairvoyance, clear seeing. So you are maybe somebody who you went through, I wouldn't be surprised if this is some people from a couple readings back who was going through a re-enlightenment journey, or like a spiritual ascension journey, and your third eye either was reawakened or woke up and was like, what the fuck? Like, I am seeing things so much clearer now. I have so much life experience. And a lot of times hindsight is 20/20, and that might be the case for some of us, and maybe where we're coming from with this place of like looking back with this hindsight that's 20/20. I feel okay about who I am, like who I've unfolded into, the things that I've made, the things that I've made. Well, yeah, that too. The mistakes that I've made, and how, all of it was part of the journey that led you exactly to who you are now in this present moment. There is something here about the family tree, and I am like being so real with y'all that there is something here about the family tree. I don't want to, Adam. That is so interesting. I'm not going to get too far into this. But there is, and I think collective, exactly who I'm speaking to, because I trust and believe with all my heart and soul that these readings find exactly who they're meant to find. whatever's going on with your family tree right now is absolutely an initiation process of exactly this. Something regarding your family tree contributed to maybe some things that you were holding internalized shame around right now. But because of what you've been through, because of the things you've experienced, because of the things you've learned, because of the things that you were able to change and accept and work on within yourself, you are now seeing when someone is operating from their unconscious shadow, right? Because what I think is really beautiful about shadow work is like, yes, the ultimate goal is to integrate, right? And to self-actualize. So no longer are these unconscious shadow traits operating in unconscious ways that lead to our downfall or contribute to negative things in our lives. However, before we get to the place where we are now using those quote-unquote shadow traits to bring light into our lives and to bring light, and we integrate, we brought conscious, right? We enlightened ourselves, enlightened. We brought those shadow things into the conscious forefront of our mind so that we can act in a lighter way, to be more self-actualized, to understand who we are as the full self. There's a quote that I absolutely love, and it goes, first we awaken to our shadow. Oh no. First we awaken to our light, then we awaken to our shadows, and then we awaken to ourselves. Yes. Right? Because we go through this process, if you are on this collective journey of, being just really fucking okay with who you are, is this journey of, these are my gifts. I want to share these with the world. I know I'm awesome. I know I'm great. Holy shit, I'm not that awesome and not that great because I did a lot of things unconsciously that I was not aware of. Now, you have the awareness. So you have the conscious shadow, right? And it's like this little precipice right before you bring that into full self-actualization and you integrate that into your conscious mind where you're like, okay, this is no longer something that I don't really know about myself or I'm learning about myself, but it's something that I understand and I'm in full agreement with, and I accept this within myself. And when we make that shift, and it's gradual at times, right? But ultimately, it's a very real shift where it's like, I can tap into that when I want to. It does not control me. This shadow trait does not feel suppressed to the point that it ends up exploding and taking the driver's seat and then derailing me completely. No. It is this self-actualization. I can't, this word just wants to keep coming through of realizing I possess the ability to. It's no longer I have the shadow trait, but it's I possess the ability to have a very strong and commanding voice that's very direct, to the point, and a little bit, it's a little bit intimidating to those who are maybe not very used to somebody who is so clear, so direct, not gonna jump around. And that's what I mean is jump around the point, because I definitely jump around. But that's what I mean is that's who I'm speaking to. You collective, I feel like you can receive my messages because you understand that, to me, shadow work is just as beautiful as light work. And when you come here, we can talk, right? It's a conversation. It's almost like an energetic conversation, because I can feel some of y'all being like, I know that's right. When we're having this reading conversation exchange here, you know that I am here and I am seeing and I am feeling into and reading into things that are not always necessarily this light, beautiful, woo-woo, fantastical energy. We're talking about real stuff, but I am here to deliver it without judgment, without ridicule, without shame. That's why my collective resonates with my readings, because what I've always appreciated is a space to talk about this stuff, which is why I use EFT in my coaching, because we are talking about it. We are bringing it to the surface. We are bringing it to our awareness, to the forefront of our mind. And then we are going to clear that. We are going to enlighten it. You know, I love to throw my jokes into my EFT tappings if you have ever done my Bamboo to Bombshell program. We enlighten it, we lighten that mood, and we rewire our nervous system with a new belief system, with a new thought process that helps us to operate differently. So I feel like you are realizing that you're resonating more with these types of people. And there might be in a situation where you have to stand on this. You got to stand on business. You got to stand on this and who you are. This might... I don't want to instill fear. I cannot express this to you enough. This is not necessarily, and maybe whoever needs to hear this is like, yeah, no, I get it. Like, I get what you're saying. But, like, you don't have, it's okay for you to branch out from your family tree. Whatever situation is requiring you to be like, this is truly who I am, like, take it or leave it, or there's something regarding forgiveness that might be showing up within this, and we're going to talk about this because the cards are asking us to. This is a completely individualistic journey. Forgiveness belongs to literally one person, and it is the person who has been affected. It is not for anyone else. It is not a conversation. It is not a debate. It is not a communal event. It is between the party who is affected and the party who is guilty. And let's just call a spade a motherfucking spade. Guilty. 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 Okay? And until there is even maybe an admittance of guilt, you can't really do much. There's really not that much room for forgiveness, and we can sit here all day and night and talk about how forgiveness is the enlightenment journey, and forgiveness is how you truly become like this peaceful. I fully agree with you, but I also think that it is up to nobody to decide what your forgiveness journey looks like, what timeline that's supposed to be on, and what boundaries need to be in place in order for you to feel mentally, emotionally, physically, you name it, safe. Forgiveness does not mean a withdrawal of boundaries. Ooh, this is so fucking real, friends. I hope this is landing for you, because when I tell you that my readings have been spooking me lately because this stuff is coming through, and then within days, I'm like, oh my God, like what? Anywho, let me say it again. Forgiveness does not mean a withdrawal of your boundaries. And this is where so many people go wrong. This is where so many people go wrong who aren't even intending malice, harm, whatever. It's that if somebody defines a boundary, all right, if they put up a fence or some kind of, I'm seeing white picket fence. In order for your white picket fence, whatever. Yeah, I just feel like you're looking for a different life, a softness, than something that might have existed within your family system. And in order for you to fully give that to yourself, you have to create a boundary that really can support that. And this is one of the most difficult boundaries for anybody. I mean, truly, this is the most entangled weave to ever kind of unthread yourself from. And it does not matter, also, quick little side note, what your family system looked like growing up. You could claim to have the perfect life, having the perfect childhood, the perfect family dynamic, or you could consider yourself as somebody who comes from a broken home. I would never say that about myself. I came from a home with a lot of trauma. I came from a home with a lot of different issues, But at the end of the day, I feel like I had a lot of love. I had so many people around me, so it's all dependent on what you decide that you want to look at your childhood. It really doesn't matter because y'all are still here listening to the same reading. Okay? So before you try to divide yourself into, oh, well, I come from this home or I come from this home. No, you're here listening to this, so y'all ended up at the same place anyway, okay? Doesn't matter. You are dealing with something regarding having to branch out from what you might relate to from your family tree. Your identity, your sense of self, this is going to really shift the way that maybe you're perceived or whatever. But it is asking you and requiring you. I'm using analogy of trees for a specific reason because you are being asked to branch out. Look, maybe you're not the tree. The tree is your lineage. But you're not the tree. You are the seed in a little poof ball of pollen that grew from this beautiful lineage. And wouldn't you believe it, as much as you are made up of that lineage and made up from the materials that were that tree, you are not that tree. You're not. You fall from the tree. You let go from the tree. The wind takes you far. It flies you into a beautiful, rich soil, lush landscapes around you, space, open space. Because what do we know is that a tree cannot grow if there are no room for it to root, to become stable, to become grounded. And when that pollen, that is you, drops into this rich, luscious soil, almost as if it was waiting for you to drop into it and give that soil purpose, life, something to bear fruit from. You are what becomes rooted into that soil, and you grow into your own tree, into your own self, into your own existence, where you then get to have your own lineage and your own family and your own, if that's what you choose. But you become a tree and you look around you and you realize that that is what every other tree must have done in order for this beautiful forest that is life to fucking exist. And it's very difficult when all of your life you have thought that you were that tree. But you were a seed. And you were meant to be rerooted and planted so that you could grow. And maybe you grow into the biggest, luscious tree of your kind. Something that can bear fruit. And guess what's so beautiful? Is that when you, the big, lush, fruitful, strong, rooted tree, are so healthy and so full of vitality and nutrients that when that tree that you derived from begins to grow weak and begins to be frail and the fruit is no longer growing, your roots, because they are so deep and so plentiful and so enriched, can reach across forests and intertwine back to that tree and send the vitality and life that it needs to survive and to sustain. So tell me, is it worth it to stay on that tree and tell yourself that you are nothing but a little piece, a little speckle of dust that is clinging on to a tree that is not growing, that is not thriving the way that it exists now? And maybe it was that tree's sole purpose to create you, that speckle of dust, so that you could go on and keep that tree going. What boundaries would that speckle of pollen, that speckle of dust that is you, need to create in order for all of that to happen? That's completely up for you to decide. It's completely up for you to decide. I can't tell you. All I can tell you right here and right now is that you have a lot to look back on. You have a lot of things to reflect on, and this is something that you should do before you make any kinds of decisions regarding your boundaries. Right now, your boundaries are your freaking navigation system because you have become so in tune with yourself. You have put so much boundaries around your joy, around your energy, around your bliss that it's second nature now. And now all of a sudden, this thing might materialize. It may have already materialized for some of you. You might know exactly how this is showing up in your present moment. Something is showing up and you're like, oh, okay. There's a quote that comes to mind where it's like, you think you're enlightened until you go home for Thanksgiving dinner. You know what I mean? And it's giving that energy. And actually what I want you to think about is, as much as you are reflecting, and there's plenty, like I said, for you to reflect on, friends, I also... Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars? I got Renee so much right now. Okay. While we were waiting for that to pass, I want you to also be thinking forward. And I want you to think about, this is so specific, but yes, Thanksgiving. What do you want for yourself, for your family in the next couple months here? We're about halfway through. So, by the time Thanksgiving rolls around, by the time November 26th has rolled around, what is it that you want to see for yourself, and what boundaries were required in order for you to get there? I'm also going to encourage you, if you haven't heard it before, I know it's a pretty deep dive to find it in the Bambi to Bombshell program, the disco ball the disco ball aura meditation. I'm going to try to get that posted here on YouTube too, because it's such an awesome meditation, if I do say so myself. And it's really just about you deciding to take up space, big groovy space that makes you feel funky, that also just reflects how psychedelic and delicious and groovy you are into the world around you. Meanwhile, also making sure that, any shit that is not so groovy is getting reflected right the fuck back to where it goes, or where it comes from, So it's a really cool, empowering meditation to just help you stay in your own energy. Because I think you've been in a state of flow. You have really been grooving and in a state of flow, and it's going to become really easy for you to decipher when that flow is no longer there. Let's just say that. Okay, yeah. And you are in your personal power, honey. I am so glad to hear it. I really am. You deserve it. And you have so much potential. You have so much potential. So just notice what things are showing up and starting to feel like they might be throwing you off in some way, in some form. Wow, this reading was... Talk about flow. Flew right out of me. Okay, and time just flew right on by. Let's see if I can do this without disrupting any headphone users. Okay. Let's just pull a couple quick clarifiers and I will let you go. Interesting. Somebody's got their eye on you. Someone is doing their research on you. This doesn't feel good, if I'm going to be quite honest. And we had that whole spectator energy. If you're from that collective and you heard me talk about that and you're rolling your eyes again, honey, yes, that's exactly it. You're just ugh, them again, or this again. And it's you actually went through such an initiation process energetically through that experience. If you have been listening along, or maybe you just know this energy intuitively because of who you are, and because you're somebody who just might be Hello, if you're somebody who needs to do the disco ball aura practice, then yeah, you're somebody who can take up space, who turns heads, okay? You're okay with being the center of attention, but you also know that it comes with sometimes people, being up in your business, okay? Solstice energy was really prominent and powerful for you. Ooh, yeah. You are bringing things to life, taking a lot of really bold actions. I feel like Leo season is going to be really significant for you in some way and somehow. But I also want you to consider what, like I said, November 26th. What things do you want to have taking shape by the next Sagittarius season, okay? This is going to require you to use a lot of action, a lot of channeled action, a lot of channeled focus. And I see something here about karma. Yes, I see a lot of karmic symbols coming up here. And again, this is all about your individual journey. I'm not going to tell you how to receive this or how to handle it moving forward, because it is really ultimately your discernment and your decision. But because we have a lot of karmic influences coming up right now, planetary, this is going to you're going to get some please forgive me's, or I'm really sorry, or can we mend this, or can you please remove this boundary you have with me because of such and such. And that's completely up to you. That is completely up to you and your journey. Like I said, you're going to be feeling into your flow. You're going to be feeling into what disrupts you. You're going to be feeling into whatever. And with the idea of forgiveness, yeah, you can absolutely forgive something and let go of something. I feel like you might want to bring an end to something specific, but you're also kind of like, yeah, but my boundaries aren't fucking changing on this, or like maybe I need to change my boundaries on this. Could be one or the other. Maybe you're like, I need even stronger boundaries around this. Like, why? How'd you get my number? I'm also seeing, yeah, there's this energy of like letting go, surrender. I'm not seeing forgiveness necessarily showing up though. Let's see if it pops out with any more of these clarifiers. No, it didn't. So, like I said, it's completely up to you. If you decide to forgive, that's very big of you. And so many people will tell you that that is like the route to enlightenment. I can't tell you, because I still have a lot of people I need to find forgiveness for. And I will get there. It is my ultimate goal. However, I feel like you are also just like very much like in tune with your morale. And when there are people who are not living in alignment with or living with a moral code, you just have real, like, you're just very quick to be disinterested in that. I'm feeling as though people who are just not wise with their resources, they might have problems with finances, and they might just have problems with addiction, addictive personality, just like trouble with that kind of stuff. And you are like, I'm not interested. I'm just so not interested. That energy is not welcome here. There's a sense of loyalty that has been brought up into question, or just the idea around how loyal someone is. This might be a really big indicator of, again, a moral code or a moral compass that you may or may not want to be aligned with. Dog symbolism is showing up here. For some reason, the way in which people have relationships with dogs is really going to be an indicator for you of like, I don't know if I can fuck with this person. It's so specific and so interesting, but it's just what's showing up. When this makes sense to you, you're gonna probably laugh your ass off. Okay, so yeah, I feel like there's something regarding conversation that needs to be had. Somebody, yeah, I just feel like a confession or a conversation or somebody, like I said, coming through with something, might be asking for forgiveness, saying an apology, something along those lines. Yeah, do some reminiscing. For some reason, there's also this energy about like how something in this situation just impacted the way that either you or whoever this other person is, something that's showing up in your life. So the way that this impacted the way that how close you can be with someone, your chemistry with someone. Chemistry is important. The word chemistry is important. It might just really be impacting like how deeply you can feel intimacy or feel connection with others. But I also want to just remind you that you are able to change. Like if something regarding like, look, it's a little weird sometimes. Like Freud would probably be like having the time of his life listening to some of my audio readings. But like when it comes to our early childhood development, you know, our families and the way we watch families, the way we watch how they treat each other, the way they treat us, all those things impact the way that we connect with other people and how safe we feel to be, you know, really connected to other people. And that sometimes involves intimacy. So don't make it fucking weird. That's all I have to say. This might involve a water sign, a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. Yeah, something regarding a water sign might be very significant where you're just kind of like, bro, what? Like, what? I can't relate. Like, what is this energy? Like, just, like, know thyself is like the energy that just like, know thyself. I can't explain it. Ancestral trauma, a lot of moving parts, avoidant. Follow the signs. Even here, even now. But for some reason, the attitude that wants to come up with that is like, even here? Even now? It's like, what? It's like of all the places. And like usually when I read that, it's like a beautiful thing that comes from a song of it's like, even here, even now. Like, yes, like even in this moment. But for some reason, there's a connotation of like, now, like, now? Really? Now? That's the kind of energy that's coming through. Love is a gamble, friends. We know this. Angels are watching over you. Yeah, if you are more on the side of, like, instead of, like, oh, I'm trying to self-actualize, I'm trying to be, like, you know, more in balance, I'm trying to show up as my true self. If you're someone who's like, no, I'm trying to operate from a higher consciousness and operate from my higher self, I want you to understand that you are doing the damn thing. Good for you. Waxing moon may be significant. 111 is definitely significant showing up. A Virgo may be playing a part in this equation. 27 is showing up. So whoever this Virgo is, or Pisces, or Cancer, Scorpio, is definitely showing up. And as always, most people are here to offer us more to this journey. You get to decide what that looks like. Father wounds are showing up here. Mars, definitely a lot of masculine energy showing up here. Planting seeds. Hey-oh, that's exactly the energy. I don't have a lot of numerology showing up for you, but I will say that 5 is significant. So be open to some things changing. In this situation, or just in general, your circumstances, your situations. I just feel like you're in a lot of movement, a lot of action, a lot of things are happening, a lot of things are taking shape and taking life. Seeds that were planted in the spring, if you were part of that collective where we were very intentionally like, hey, this is what I want moving forward. These things might be blossoming and taking shape and coming to life, okay? So yes, friends, I'm really excited for you because at the end of the day, whatever seems to be coming up for you, you're facing it with so much grace, so much dignity, and so much like clarity of who you are. And I'm just really, really proud of you because let's just be honest, the gift of clear seeing is a very, very tricky and difficult thing to navigate. And you are taking a more conscious path. Sometimes the path chooses you. So just good for you. And I'm sending you lots of loving on your journey. I will talk to you very soon.